Morant with a running start. Elevate! Oh, it dunks! Oh, my goodness!
Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn his heat. It's gone! Memphis on top. 7-10 remaining. Conley now with three. Count it! A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took acceptance.
Adams going long. Morant! He hit it! John Morant! Insanity!
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast. Grizzlies win edition. My name is Keith Parrish. The Grizzlies beat the Boston Celtics, their first win in Boston since 2013. And then they followed up this huge victory by taking care of business on the second night of a back-to-back. They demolished the Washington Wizards in a game without Ja Morant or Desmond Bane. And now the Grizzlies have lifted themselves to second in the conference. They're currently 17-8 as they head into this little mini break that occurs during the NBA Cup knockout games this week. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about the win over the Celtics and the Wizards, and let's get right into it. The game against the Celtics was very important, I feel like, for us Grizzlies fans. We had it circled on our calendar because so far the measuring stick games hadn't gone very well. The games where we're playing good teams that are at full strength had gone fairly badly. And so I think most of us were thinking, okay, we blew that big game against the Mavericks. That was a big letdown. Now we have another chance to play a really good team, the other team that was in the finals last year. And so we wanted to see how we would do. Of course, there were other extenuating circumstances or things to this game, such as the return of Marcus Smart. This was a big game for Marcus Smart. He was injured last year when the team went to Boston, didn't get to play. Also, again, the Grizzlies never went in Boston. So this was a big game for the Grizzlies, and they pulled off probably their signature win of the season. Now, for the Celtics, it's not a signature win at all or a big game. We were up probably more than they were. Also, they were on the second night of a back-to-back. No Al Horford for them. They'd beaten the Bucks in a very close game the night before. But still a huge victory for the Grizzlies. And I think most importantly, I think as a Grizzlies fan, the thing I found most important was that Ja Morant looked like the best player on the court. And when he didn't look like the best player on the court, Jaren Jackson Jr. looked like the best player on the court. It was an interesting game in that the Grizzlies had a strategy that Joe Mazzulla called bold. They put Jaren on Drew Holiday for a lot of the game and had him sagging off of Drew, allowing him to shoot. Drew got up so many shots and he missed a bunch of them. They basically let Drew Holiday shoot three-pointers. He was 4 for 17 from the three-point line. Meanwhile, the Celtics took 60 three-pointers. They made 18, but 60 attempts is a ton. In the first half, the Grizzlies shot a good percentage and kept up with the Celtics. They had a 12-point lead at halftime, but they kept up with the Celtics on the three-point makes with half the attempts. At halftime, the Grizzlies were 8 for 15 from the three-point line. Meanwhile, the Celtics were 9 for 31. The Grizzlies finished the game 15 for 33 on three-pointers, a very good 45.5%. Meanwhile, the Celtics only made 30% of their threes. Again, 18 for 60. Jason Tatum was 1 for 10. Kristaps was 3 for 10. Meanwhile, Drew Holiday, like I said, 4 for 17. So the Celtics had a bad shooting night, and it was enough for the Grizzlies to get the victory. But Ja Morant looked incredible. Ja Morant had one of the dunks of the season. Ja Morant flirted with the triple-double. He had 15 points, 8 boards, 7 assists at halftime. He finished short of the double-double, but still 32 points, which is a season high for Ja Morant this year. 32 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. He made his first 4 3-pointers of the game. An incredible performance from Ja. He completely bounced back from sort of a listless game against the Kings. Perhaps he was sick, who knows. But Ja bounced back, played amazingly well, and delivered the victory for the Grizzlies. He also played maybe more minutes than normal. That's one of the storylines for us in this game. In the second half, Taylor Jenkins leaned on his big three a little bit more. So there was a point in the third quarter where the Celtics started scratching away at the lead. They got back-to-back and ones, and Ja Morant was subbed back into the game. That is not the typical substitution pattern for the Grizzlies. He comes back in near the end of the third quarter. He immediately hits 2 3-pointers to maintain the cushion for the Grizzlies. Now, the lead eventually did go away in the fourth quarter. Start of the fourth quarter, the Grizzlies had Ja out there with Marcus Smart, with Jalen Wells and Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, that's a really strong lineup, in my opinion. But the Celtics started the fourth quarter on an 8-0 run after Jaylen Brown hits a 3-pointer to tie it at 94. Marcus Smart misses a pull-up 3. Then Peyton Pritchard comes down, makes a 3, put the Grizzlies down 3. Timeout Grizzlies. After that, they subbed out Marcus Smart, who, by the way, did not re-enter the game. Marcus Smart checked in early. So in the first quarter, 3 minutes into the game, they brought Marcus Smart in much earlier than normal to get the ovation from the crowd. He got a big ovation. It was very nice. If you're watching this on TV, it was very nice to see the love given by the Boston crowd. Also, this was super interesting. Because of subbing Marcus Smart in early, they subbed him in for Jalen Wells. That meant we got to see Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Brandon Clark play together. We hadn't really seen that. We'd seen that for 4 possessions, according to Clean the Glass before this game. Did that 5-man unit, which might be the best 5 players on the Grizzlies, immediately go on a 10-0 run? Of course they did. But I thought it was cool. We saw those guys play together for just about 3 minutes in the first quarter. Cleaning the Glass clocked it as 17 possessions. So the all-time tracker for Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Brandon Clark lineups, 21 possessions, and they've outscored their opponents 21-9 so far. That'll work. But going back to the fourth quarter, Marcus Smart misses this pull-up 3-pointer, meaning he's now 1 for 11 in the game. And he gets subbed out. And now he got subbed out at the normal time. He'd already played his full stint, like last 6 minutes of the third quarter, first couple minutes of the fourth quarter. He was going to come out anyway. But notably, he did not get subbed back into the game later on. He did come in to throw an inbounds pass, but that was it. They went with Jake LaRavia because Jake LaRavia has been balling. But once the Celtics took the lead, then Jaren Jackson Jr. really got rolling. Jaren had a stretch in the fourth quarter where he scored 11 straight points for the Grizzlies. A little bit of it started with, all right, they didn't have the best front court guys in. Because of Al Horford not playing, they had Luke Cornett and Neemias Queta guarding him. All right, that's a big mismatch. But then it was, Jaylen Brown guarded him. Jaylen Brown can't guard him. Then it was Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, Porzingis can't really guard him. Jaren scored over everybody. Jaren had 14 points in the fourth quarter. Jaren's box score for this one is just art. 27 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 3 steals. That's spectacular. Add into that 3 made threes, 3 for 4 on 3-pointers. An unbelievably strong game from Jaren against the defending champs. So Jaren had 11 straight, and then after that, it's like he tag teamed Desmond Bane to come in. Desmond Bane hadn't done much in the game up until that point, but then Desmond Bane scores 7 late. He hits a big 3, It puts the Grizzlies up with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. I think maybe the score was 122-115 at that time. Then he hit a driving layup. Got some nice English off the glass for it to go in. That capped a 7-0 run that put the Grizzlies up 9. It was basically over then, although we did have to sweat out the final possessions. The last few possessions were not ideal. The Grizzlies were up 6 with 27 seconds left and had the ball. They were inbounding the ball under their own basket. All you have to do, I was like muttering to my television. I was like, just don't turn it over. All you have to do is not turn it over. Taking a shot clock violation here is great. Just get the ball in bounds, take a shot clock violation, and then set your defense. You're up 6 with 27 seconds left. Whatever you do, don't have a turnover that's a run out for a dunk that takes no time at all. That's exactly what they did. So then the Grizzlies were up 4. Then they inbounds the ball to Jaren, who doesn't protect the ball. He just stands still and bends over, thinking that someone's just going to foul him. No, they just reached in and tied the ball up. So there's a jump ball. And now I'm just like, what are we doing? But then on the jump ball goes out of bounds. They say it's Celtics basketball, but Taylor Jenkins challenged this call. It looked like Porzingis knocked it out, but maybe not. But then it was Derek White definitely hit it out last. So you win that challenge, and then, okay, now the game's actually over. But just a huge win. And coming off the win streak that they'd been on, and now you look back and say, hey, we've won 9 of 10. We're the hottest team in the NBA, along with the Mavericks, who've also won 9 of 10. The Grizzlies are 9-2, by the way, since Zach Edey went out. Not that those two things are related, or are they? I'm just messing with you guys. But now you're second in the West. You have a signature victory. You beat the Celtics. Ja had 32, 9, and 9. Jaren had 27, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks. You're feeling good. Also, by the way, let's give a solid pat on the back for Brandon Clark's game against the Celtics. Had a season high 18 points. 9 out of 11 from the field. If you combine Jaren and Brandon's stats, of course, Jaren did most of the work here, but your starting front court gave you 45 points, 17 rebounds, 5 steals, and 5 blocks. Impressive work. By the way, the Grizzlies are 12-3 now when Brandon Clark is the starter. He's averaging just about 21 minutes per game as a starter. 9 points per game, 6 rebounds per game in those starts, making 66% of his field goal attempts. Oh, by the way, going back to the minutes, I don't think I finished this thought. I'm on flu medication. I'm a little bit foggy. But the minutes in this game, I talked about how Ja Morant came back in early in the third quarter. Well, the most notable thing with the minutes in the Celtics game in the second half was Jaren's minutes. Like, Ja ended up playing 18 minutes in the second half. That's great. I mean, that's normal for other teams, but it's good for us. We're going to feel good when it happens. Desmond played 18 minutes in the second half. Also, that's good for us, but, we'll take it. Jaren played 21 minutes in the second half. He played 25 minutes total against the Kings in the previous game before the Celtics game. So Jaren ends up with 34 minutes played against the Celtics. Meanwhile, Desmond plays 33, Ja plays 34. Those are heavier minutes for the Grizzlies. It seems like they really wanted the game. They were going hard to win that basketball game. So I thought that was cool. Like, it wasn't Santi Aldama's night. Not that he was playing poorly. It's just, hey, we're playing Jaren, so your minutes are down. Jay Huff came in. I mean, he made his shots. Jay Huff had 10 points in 18 minutes, was 2 out of 3 from the three-point line. He also did a good job of driving past guys, much like Jaren Jackson Jr. It's like, oh, Luke Cornett's closing out on me. I'm going to dribble past him. Jay got to the foul line 4 times. Good job. Made all 4 of them. But they were sticking with their starters. Marcus didn't have it. Didn't play that many minutes. Jake, I mean, he's still going to play more minutes than a lot of guys. Maybe Jalen Wells lost some of his minutes, but like Jalen is just, I don't know, he's just a good glue guy. He's a good 3-and-D rookie. So Jalen only played 18 minutes, had 7 points, made 1 3-pointer. Jake played 23 minutes, 5 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. But they went with the main guys: Desmond Bane, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, who ended up with 26 minutes. He was playing so well, he ends up closing this game. They did not stick with their normal closing guys. Marcus Smart did not close the game. Previous games, they've been going back to Santi Aldama when the game was close. And this game was close. This was a clutch victory. The Grizzlies, we'd been monitoring how their clutch record not very good. Well, you pick up a huge clutch win against a great team, you can feel good about it. And then you follow that up with a massive blowout against the Wizards. Let's talk some more about that game right after this short break. All right, like any super nervous fan, after the magnificent victory over the Celtics, I was worried about a letdown. And then it turns out Ja Morant and Desmond Bane weren't able to play, or they gave them the night off, however you want to present that scenario. They did not play. And meanwhile, the Wizards had just beaten the Nuggets on Saturday night. I mean, frankly, we all knew that was good. That the Nuggets were the team, the victim that ended the Wizards' losing streak. Having that losing streak be over was a massive relief, I think, for the Grizzlies and for Grizzlies fans. And I think the Wizards, once they got that victory, they kind of rested on their laurels a little bit. They weren't really that competitive against the Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies truly ran them out of the building. To be able to dominate an opponent that thoroughly, when you're not playing your best player, your whole starting backcourt's not playing. I mean, no Ja, no Desmond. So you start Scottie Pippen Jr., Marcus Smart, those guys step in, and then Jalen Wells, Brandon, and Jaren. To win this game by, what did it end up being, 30-something? You scored 72 points in the first half. That's your highest scoring first half of the season. Finished with 140 points. Jaren only had to play 16 minutes and 46 seconds. I mean, like, it wasn't a total laugher until, I guess, the third quarter. I mean, you were up at halftime by a good amount. But then in the third quarter, I believe they cut it to 10. Maybe it was 9. They cut it to about 10. Taylor Jenkins calls a timeout. And then after that timeout, Jaren hits a corner three. Then he makes a driving layup where he gets fouled. A couple of possessions later, Marcus Smart hits a corner three off a Brandon Clark assist. The Wizards call timeout. After the timeout, on their first possession after the timeout, like the play they drew up, Scottie Pippen Jr. steals a pass from Bub Carrington, throws it ahead to BC for a dunk. Then Scottie draws an offensive foul by pressuring Bub Carrington. Bub hits him in the face. Offensive foul turnover. Then before the ball's inbounded, there's another foul on the Wizards. So we get to shoot a free throw. And just like that, the Grizzlies are up 22. It was a very quick meltdown by the Wizards to put the Grizzlies up 22. Then in short order, Santi makes a three. Santi was incredible against the Wizards. He missed his chance of the 4-point play by missing the free throw. So that was a 16-0 run. And then the rest of it was just all garbage time. I mean, we cleared the bench. I mean, Yuki Kawamura scored. Colin Castleton scored. That man had multiple points. Colin Castleton had 6 points. Yuki had 4. Was absolutely the darling of the crowd. I am in awe of the reception that Yuki gets on the road. I mean, I think there were a lot of Grizzlies fans there, it seems like, at the game in Washington. But for that many people on the road to be cheering for a virtual unknown was pretty cool. But the Wizards game, you got Jaren with 21 points, 4 blocks in that 16 minutes and 46 seconds of playing time, or 47 seconds of playing time. Doing some fun with numbers on Basketball Reference. Jaren is the only player on record, so at least in the last 42 years, he's the only player to play less than 20 minutes and get at least 21 points and 4 blocks. Anthony Davis had a game where he played 20 minutes. He got, I think it was 27 points and 4 blocks, but Jaren, 21 points, 4 blocks in just 17 minutes of playing time. He made 3 more 3-pointers in this game, meaning he has consecutive games with at least 20 points, 3 blocks, and 3 made threes. I mean, Victor Wembanyama has the most of those games in the NBA this year. Jaren's second, but he has back-to-back games doing that. Jaren was amazing. Scottie Pippen Jr. getting the start, gets another double-double. This is his 6th double-double of the season already. Had 14 points, 12 assists, and 2 steals. Brandon Clark, just doing what he does. 12 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals. Meanwhile, the bench. I mean, yeah, you cleared the bench really early, so they were able to build their stats up. But this was the story, I think, of the first half and the third quarter before it really got out of hand. You had Jay Huff, Santi Aldama, and, oh, by the way, Cam Spencer delivering. John Conchar delivering. And those guys played in the first half. Shorter or fewer players available, so Cam Spencer's number was called. John Conchar got back in there. They were both great. I mean, John Conchar is just such a solid pro. He's everything the Washington Wizards aren't. He had 7 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, a block. He was a catalyst for a lot of the stuff the Grizzlies were doing, it felt like. Cam Spencer, real game action, just his 3rd NBA game. His shooting seems amazing. We know he scored 51 points in that G League game, but his 3-pointers look so nice. He made 2 of them in this game, got to the foul line 4 times. So 14 points, 5 assists, a steal, and 4 rebounds. Santi, I believe he was the International Paper Player of the game. Santi was tremendous against the Wizards. 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, and 1 steal. And then Jay Huff. This is a revenge game for Jay Huff. You might not have known that. Jay Huff has played on the Wizards before. And that was the team he was on briefly for a few games before he joined the Nuggets, I believe last season. So Jay Huff definitely showed out against one of his former teams, scored 17 points. He got up 14 shots. He was 3 for 11 from the 3-point line, but 17 points, part of the huge bench explosion. The bench scored over 70 points. So big time stuff right there. LaRavia just, his regular, consistent 9 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 rebounds. Great stuff from Jake once again. Marcus had a good bounce back game in the starting spot after going 1 for 11 against his former team. Marcus had 13 points, made 3 out of 6 3-pointers, had a steal, had 1 assist. And, oh, by the way, maybe the fun thing about this game, Jalen Wells only scored 4 points. He didn't make a shot, but he was great. And he was great because his job was to guard Jordan Poole. And they said on the broadcast, one of the assistant coaches, like going into the second half, they're like, what are the keys to the game? What are you looking at? And he said, one of our keys, our main key to this game was to shut down Jordan Poole. And they had Jalen Wells face guarding Jordan Poole to try to knock him out of the game, and it worked completely. Jordan Poole didn't want any of it. He didn't want any smoke, as they say. Jalen Wells was denying him the ball, and Jordan Poole was like, all right, I guess I don't get a score today. So Jalen Wells shut down Jordan Poole. Awesome stuff. Jordan Poole had 0 points in the first half. Poole finished with just 9 points. He only took 6 shots. He was not playmaking for others. Jordan Poole played 29 minutes, had 9 points and 2 assists. None of those points in the first half. So great job by the Grizzlies shutting down the Wizards. Great job by Jalen Wells accepting the assignment. This was a professional beatdown. This was the sign of a good team. And that's exactly what it feels like the Grizzlies are right now. I mean, if you lose to the Celtics, maybe you don't feel as good. Well, certainly you don't feel as good. You can still highlight all the problems, the easy schedule, and the lack of beating teams that are any good. And so just by winning that Celtics game, which by the way got close, which by the way the Celtics missed 42 three-pointers, but just by winning that Celtics game, now we certainly feel a lot better about everything. And I guess that's fair. Part of me wants to point out, if the Celtics game had gone differently, the Celtics game is doing a lot of heavy lifting for, I think, our esteem right now. But I'm fine with that. When you win 9 out of 10, when you're 17-8, and you still haven't had what you would call your full roster, hardly at all, it's above my expectation, so I'm extremely excited about it. I'm ecstatic. I think one of the things, again, I'm going to cite my buddy Sean Coleman. He was posting on social media about things that have surprised you or players that are playing better than you anticipated this year. And he listed like half of the Grizzlies players, and I agree with him. Jalen Wells has been so good. Jake LaRavia has been amazing this year. By the way, Jake LaRavia for the season, when he's on the court, the Grizzlies have a plus 15.9 net rating in 1,174 possessions. That's a big sample size, and that is a huge positive net rating. Jake LaRavia is tied for 7th in the NBA in raw plus minus. Jake LaRavia has been great so far. Jay Huff, absolutely exceeding expectations. Jaren's been amazing, but I'll say it, I'm a pretty big Jaren fan, always have been. Brandon Clark, I'm a huge believer in Brandon, but also I wasn't sure he'd return to form like this. So the Grizzlies are getting great play from a lot of places that were not totally expected. And because of that, I think we're all feeling really, really good where we are right now, having won 9 of 10, being the top scoring team in the NBA, averaging 30 assists per game, which used to be the standard for good games for this team. It's all going really well right now. And because of that, I mean, hey, yeah, absolutely. Let's feel good. Also, when you look around the rest of the league and you're like, all right, the Suns are kind of struggling. The Nuggets are kind of struggling. We were right there with the Mavericks, but okay. I mean, the Thunder are good, but like the Timberwolves are struggling. There's a lot of opportunity for the Grizzlies. The Warriors hit some bumpy spots recently. Things are looking very good for the Grizzlies right now in the Western Conference. And now they have a few days off, as do most teams. The Grizzlies will practice on some things that they can improve. Hopefully, they will get healthier. Zach Edey will return at some point. Vince Williams Jr., Gigi Jackson, both on the way at some point. The next game is Friday night. They host the Brooklyn Nets, who, by the way, are 6-1 against the Western Conference and have beaten the Grizzlies twice already. I don't like that. But hopefully the Grizzlies can get some vengeance against the Nets. By the way, the Grizzlies are 10-3 against the East. The 3 losses being the 2 losses to the Nets and 1 loss to the Bulls. Then the Grizzlies go on the road this Sunday for a game against the Lakers. Lakers are struggling bad right now. So hopefully the Grizzlies can take care of business there. And I think with that, I can wrap up the show. Oh, I guess I could say that Luke Kennard didn't play. He missed his 3rd straight game with illness. Luke has missed 11 games this year already without having any kind of like acute injury that's occurred during a game, unless I'm forgetting something. He's missed 11 games with illness and soreness. So I guess hurry back, Luke. He's on pace to make 69 three-pointers this year, which frankly isn't very many at all. I mean, are you going to play him over Jalen Wells, though? I'm not. Are you going to play him over Cam Spencer? I don't know. No, honestly, Luke was playing great when he went out. He was playmaking really, really well, but he keeps missing games. Hopefully, he'll be back soon. Anyways, yeah, like I said, the Grizzlies don't play till Friday, but I'll probably have another episode out later this week. By the way, if you want some extra content from me, you can always join my Patreon, patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. If you sign up there, you can join the Slack channel. You can ask me questions whenever you want. You can do it around the clock. I will probably answer your questions if you ask in a nice way. Also, you get access to a monthly bonus episode. Sign up, patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. All right. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Go Grizz.